I'll never forget the time my friend Hal and I went camping. Hal's an Eagle Scout, a nature lover, so he's always going out on these camping trips. One time I decided to come along and see what it was about. He went with his girlfriend Maya and I received a last-minute invitation. The car pulled together and arrived at a destination 3 hours later. Hal doesn't believe in going to campsites because it doesn't give the real camping experience. So he took us to some random dirt trail off some backwoods road that he seemed to know about. He drove down this dirt road in the woods for a couple of minutes until he seemed to be content with where we were. It was such an inconspicuous place, this thought, that I wasn't even aware at first we were getting out here. Once we found a good place to set up camp, Hal assigned us tasks. Setting up a tent was one thing I knew how to do. So Hal told me to set up 2 tents. Maya stayed behind with me to kind of help set up the tents as well. Hal went off to find dry firewood. He would come back every so often with a couple pieces of wood. Nightfall came quicker than expected. Thankfully, Hal collected enough wood by then to start a nice fire and the tents were pitched. We sat by the fire drinking and reminiscing about old memories, most of which Maya was not in the picture for. I imagine she got tired of hearing our drunken, nonsensical stories because she went to her tent before Hal and I. So Hal and I stayed up a little while longer, now being a bit quieter and keeping the laughter to a minimum as a courtesy to Maya. I finished my last beer and I was definitely feeling it by then. We chatted for a bit more until Hal told me to be quiet and listen. I heard it too. There was walking out in the distance beyond the area where the fire lit up. Hal assured me it was likely a deer. When I naively asked, what if it's a bear? He assured me that a bear would not come this close to a campfire or the sound of people. I asked him if he was sure about that. He didn't answer though. The footsteps seemed to be going in circles, getting ever so slightly louder with each passing minute. When the footsteps got close enough, we started to hear a disturbing noise. It was like a clicking, growling type of noise. Is that a wolf? I whispered. Hal didn't answer. He just motioned for me to get into the tent. I did what he said. I got in the tent that I pitched for myself, and I believe Hal got into the tent that I pitched for him and Maya. The clicking noise outside was getting more and more clear, and it increasingly became obvious it was not the sound of a wolf or bear or any kind of animal I could imagine. It didn't even sound like something on this planet. The light from the fire outside cast an eerie glow onto the walls of the tents, and I had to cover my mouth so that I wouldn't scream. When I saw the shadow on the tent, it was some horrific, huge bipedal thing. The footsteps were so slow, but so heavy, and moved away from my tent towards the direction of Hal and Maya's tent. The next thing I remember besides waiting in absolute horror was Maya's scream. She screamed as if something was about to kill her. I didn't know what was happening, but I heard Hal scream outside, "Run!" over and over. I heard the two of them hurrying outside, so I rushed outside and followed. We ran in the pitch black, no flashlight, nothing, and yet we still knew we were being chased by something. Footsteps followed close behind me since I was in the back. By some miracle, Hal managed to lead us right to the car. Without looking back, we all got into our respective seats and Hal floored it down the trail. Hal drove down the dirt trail for about half a minute before we came to a dead end. He had to somehow turn this pickup truck around now in the dark forest, not too far from where we were being chased. I urged him to turn off the lights so whatever was chasing us wouldn't see us. He insisted he needed the lights on so that he wouldn't hit any trees trying to turn around the truck. At long last, Hal got the truck completely turned around and once again stepped on it to get us out of that forest. We left everything at that campsite, hundreds of dollars of equipment, but there was zero chance we were ever going back. What caused Maya to scream was heavy breathing and something pushing into their tent trying to rip it open. Hal still says he's never heard or seen anything like that in his life. He still has no idea what it could have been, but it definitely walked on 2 legs. How do we know it wasn't a person? Simply because of its size and noise that it made. I've never been able to go camping up until now, and I'm still weary of every little noise that I hear. Wait, what's that?